Hey everybody, it's Zip Mouth. So vacation is over for me. I've been really enjoying my birthday, like 2 weeks before my birthday. Then after my birthday, I think my last excitement was a couple of days ago. But so I got to get back to work now, cause I just got to get back to work, because my mind is still in turn up mode. I'm grateful for all of my friends and our sisters. They my friends, but they my sisters. But I'm grateful for them because I had so much fun. Even Sunday was like my last like fun day. So vacation is over. Everything is my birthday is over. My celebration is over, even though it trickled into July. So um, it's back to work now. This is my official. I'm back to work. I got to get out of this party mode and get into this work mode again. So today I have a special guest. His name is James Michels, and so he is an author of crime and thriller novels. And I'm gonna let him talk about his stuff because he knows more about himself than I do. So I'm gonna bring him up now. Y'all just be excited, be nice, get a book. It's gonna be okay. And if you got some questions, I'm gonna open up the comments so you'll be able to ask questions. Hey,
Hi,
how you doing? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So I gave a little introduction about you, but I'm gonna let you tell the people about you because I probably said your last name incorrect. So I'm gonna let you tell them who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, hi everybody. My name is James Michaels, and I am so I'm kind of just repeating everything that was just said, and then I'm going to add more to it. I
Right.
am a crime thriller writer from Michigan. Um, I currently have four books published. Two are part of an ongoing series. One is a standalone, but with an expanding universe. And my last book that I published is a collection of short stories. And I'm actually writing my fifth book. I'm editing it actually, and it's going to be the third one in the ongoing Ice series. Um, where exactly would you like me to start? Like how I got
Well,
started, or
I want to know, like, how did you get started with crime and like crime thriller? Like, what made you decide to do that? Because that it's exciting. It's very exciting, especially like I'm a lifetime person, so it's very exciting.
So I've always been an avid reader and a movie watcher. So growing up, I'm reading and I'm watching crime novels, watching crime stories, true crime and crime fiction. I love like Goodfellas, Casino, but also love like The Departed. My favorite movies were Godfather, Mario Puzo is my favorite author. So, I've always just loved reading about crime, whether it's like I said, whether it's the true stuff or the fictionalized
Right.
content. And you know, it's just funny because I'm. It kind of led me to pursuing a career in criminal justice,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up getting a job with the Department of Corrections, which, since I've mentioned it and I'm still working there right now, I have to make the disclaimer that I'm not a spokesman for the Department of Corrections. Anything that I say, does any opinions I may say does not necessarily reflect that of the departments. So anything I say is my own opinions
Right.
and whatnot. So just something I always have to throw out there when I add that on to my story. Anyway, so I kind of got, but really, what happened for me was I had reached a sort of like plateau point with my job, just kind of the mindset where eventually I wanted to go to a better shift because a few years into my job,
Right.
I started building a family. So I said, okay, what do I want to do? Well, I want to go do it to the morning shift. But what do I want to do with, for the next 20 some years? I mean, is
Right.
that it, or is that something else I want to do? And so I started kind of thinking to myself, all right, so what can I do to just build on myself?
Right.
Um, and I kind of made this list of like personal accomplishments that I could do. Let's learn a language. Let's travel.
Right.
Let's write a book. And so I said, all right, what can I do first? So I probably Googled some stuff in Italian. I said, okay, that's going to take a while. I'm going to start writing this book. That's going to be the first thing I do. And I wanted to write, I thought it was going to be a one and done. I'm
Right.
not I'm not one of those guys who've been writing since they come out the womb.
Right.
Um, I didn't actually really like writing in high school. At first, I think what it was always, like write this report and tell me this. And it's like, okay, I'm writing what you want me to say.
Correct.
But whenever they gave me the option to write whatever I wanted, um, like one story was when we read The Outsiders for one of my high school classes, the book The Outsiders, and their assignment was write a chapter for the end of that story, and I
Right.
did, and I got an A on it because I actually it really was an amazing chapter, and so anyway, but writing I never really thought I would be a writer. That never really popped into my head.
Right.
Um, then one day I just said, yeah, let's do this. Let's write a book. And I'm writing the book, and about halfway through, I'm realizing, wow, this is really coming together. But it's longer than I had thought it was going to be because I'm a total pantser writer. I don't plan anything.
Right.
And so I broke the book off. I broke the story off into a series, and then other ideas came to mind. And I realized at that point that, wow, this is something for me that I never thought I had, which was a natural talent at something.
Right.
And, here I am, I'm 25 years old at that time.
Right.
And I said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And it's something I'll never retire from.
Wow. Now that's big because I'm not a I wrote a book, a ebook. So and then I'm working on one now, you know. And so I'm a reader. I'm not really a writer. I'm a reader and I'll edit. I'll do good punctuation. If you need me to edit stuff for you, that's cool. But I'm just not I don't feel like I have enough time to sit down and write until I learned that you can talk it and then you could correct it later. So being that you're not a writer, but now you're like, this is something that I'm going to do for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? And do you edit your own or do you hire someone to edit for you?
So I'm actually really blessed on that regard. I actually have a buddy of mine who he does it and he does it for fun pretty much. He just says, yeah, like I just remember the first time that I had finished my first book that I had written the manuscript, and I needed some people whose opinions I trusted. And then my buddy, I tell him he's a big reader like me. He says, "Yeah, dude, I'll check it out." And he read it and he loved it. And he said, but there's a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't mind editing it for you. I said, okay, what do you charge? He said, nothing. I said, what? Like, he said, it's nothing. I'm like, dude, I mean, all good conscience. He's like, no, 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 let's not do that. I want to do this. I love this story. I just want to kind of be part of it. So let me just do this for you.
Yeah.
And he's been my guy since then. And every time I offer him, hey man, let me compensate something. And he always says, like really out of the goodness of his heart, no, dude, like I just want to do this. Like I
Right.
enjoy doing this. I enjoy being a part of this.
That's definitely
So,
a gift then.
yeah. And then, I do my little edits too. I've learned some skills and whatnot. I think the hardest thing for me was having to go back at what I wrote because I used to hate just like seeing me, hearing me, seeing what I wrote. It was always very uncomfortable for me. So I
Right.
really had to challenge myself in that and really look at what I'm writing and say, okay, like no, it doesn't suck because you wrote it.
Right.
It's actually great. It just needs a little touching up.
Right. Exactly. How do you come up with because are these fiction or nonfiction? Like how do you come up with the storyline? Because that's a creative task for crime and thriller to keep people, like at the edge of their seat, expecting, like trying to figure out who did what. So how do you come up with the storylines?
It's all fiction,
Okay.
and it's a good question. I don't want to say it all just comes off the top of my head, but really that's how my stories kind of flow.
Right.
I don't like. I can't tell you, say, hey, I'm going to write this book where this guy robs a bank and then he finds true love and then he becomes the mayor and then he goes to jail and then he redeems himself, then he goes to space, and then all that's going to happen.
Right.
It could very well happen, but really, I just think of a premise and I think,
Hmm.
okay, what if I do this and this happens? Like,
Okay.
okay, for example, Battle of Johnny Carlo. Wrong side. Battle of Johnny Carlo. I said to myself, okay, what if I have a mafia hitman on the run and a homicide detective fall in love, and then how do I make that really really epic so it has that kind of has that romantic feel to it, but also has a lot of action. How do I do that? Well, let's
Hmm.
find out. And like I said a couple times before, I don't plan my writing. I
Right.
just go with it. So I don't know. I don't even know what's going to be the finished product at the end of
Right.
the road. And
Right.
this was a 15-month endeavor. This book here.
Wow. That was my next question. Like, how long does it take you to write a novel? Like, how long, literally? Because I know sometimes people think like writing a novel is like you can just put it on AI, it's over with, but no.
It's like running a marathon. You just you just run till you're done pretty much. I just keep writing until the stories until like I just it's kind of like I'm unloading and I'm unloading and I'm unloading,
Hmm.
and then you just get that feeling of, okay, one last heave, one last unload, and the story's done. And that's the
Right.
feeling I get whenever I finish.
Right.
Um, and I can kind of feel myself when it's like, okay, I've got about 2 more months, and then I think this book's going to be done. I'm pretty sure. Just that kind of innate feeling, really.
Right.
To say like to put an average, I'd say maybe 9 months to 9 to 10 months. And
Okay.
Battle of Johnny Carlo was 15 months, but these two books behind me, Life's Dark Corners and Icebox, took me maybe about 8 months, and Ice
Wow.
Rising took me Ice Rising took me a year.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so how do you stay consistent? Because like you have to go to work, so and then you have a family. So
Mhm.
how do you stay consistent with those things and not just like like I said, sometimes I feel like I don't have time to do things. So how do you stay consistent? Do you block off your time for that, or do you just whenever you sit down you can do it?
I block it off. I mean, I know when I'm, like with my life, I do have a family, and I work 40 to 60 hours a week at my job.
Mhm.
So I really do have to kind of carve that time and say, okay, this time I get this stuff done.
Right.
And for me, it's typically I get up about 4 o'clock in the morning every day, even on my days off. And I say to myself, okay, here's what I need to get done before I go to
Mhm.
work or before the kids get up or before I have to do this, just depending on, work day or day off. And I just sit down and I grind it out.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in you'll make time for what's important to you somehow, some way. Is it easy? No. I mean, I want to sleep in, but at this point, my body will not let me.
Right. Right.
Um, Last week, I really tried to sleep in. I went to bed late. I went to bed late for myself, like 10, because I'm
Hmm.
so because I'm crazy. 10 o'clock. Uh, I took a melatonin,
Right.
and I just went to sleep.
Right.
And I still woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
It's the way of life.
And
It's
and,
the
and
way
I'm,
of
I'm, I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's still dark. What time is it? 5 o'clock in the morning. Man, I'm sleeping the day away. I got to get up.
That's how it feels. That's exactly how it feels.
Oh,
I get up probably about 4:30. Sometimes I'll lay back down, like I'll get up and I'll do a couple of things and then I'll lay back down and go to sleep. But it's like my body won't allow me to stay asleep that long. And I could go to bed at 3, 4 in the morning and I'm still gonna get up at the same time. Like I'm still gonna get it doesn't matter. So okay, so which book was your first book? Like your very first book that you ever did? Which one was your first one? What's the title of it?
that would be Ice Rising.
Okay.
So I wrote Ice Rising um, at first with the premise of actually writing Ice Box. Because I do work in a prison setting, that was going to be the setting for my book.
Right.
And it, like I said, it just changed on me. And it took me a couple of years actually to get to writing my book with a prison setting, which I didn't know at the time would be part of a series. Um,
Okay.
the third book in the series, Ice Rising, Icebox, the third one, Ice Rain, actually takes place outside of prison. So I've moved it back onto back out into the world.
Okay.
And with Ice Rising, I really had to. So this a big part of this was a journey for myself of being what type of author I am.
Mm.
I entered the writing world thinking that I'm going to write this book to inspire people and motivate people and teach people, that there's better things to do with your life than to, um, pursue life on the streets because I've seen the end result.
Right.
But writing this book and seeing where it is now, I've just realized that I'm not that kind of writer. Now, if somebody, like I write to entertain.
Right.
Like these stories are to entertain people. Now, if somebody were to pick up this book and say, okay, that book's convinced me to not pursue a criminal life, I mean, that's great. I'm sure Scarface has convinced a couple people not to deal drugs.
Right.
So that's kind of on that
That's
level.
kind of where you're going. Like, this is for entertainment purposes only. But if this helps you, I'm good with that too. That's cool. I can
Right.
understand that because I know, like, generally we want to start out doing something positive because we want to change the world. But that book could still change the world, though. Because I mean, one
Right.
person at a time, it could definitely do that. Okay, so what about your second book? So, what made you decide, like, I'm going to do this second book? I know this is like your life, but it's like 15 months. I don't know. I probably would have been like, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a little time. So, what made you decide to do that second book?
So while typically when I write my books, when I'm halfway through writing one book, the idea for the next one pops into my head. So that by the time I'm finished writing the book, it's like burning, like it's like just burning for me to
Oh,
start
I gotta
writing
get
it.
it done.
So yeah, so I was like,
Okay.
okay, so what do I want to do? What is the Ballad of Johnny Carlo going to be about? At first, it was going to be like gangster goes to some little small town in the South and just kind of takes it over in
Right.
his own way. And that's just not what happened. But see, that's what I was thinking as I was writing Ice Rising. Then I kind of went with the whole sort of like Romeo and Juliet, but with a noir feel to it, with
Right.
the Ballad of Johnny Carlo. And I don't know, like, there's just something in it. So, okay, so I'm writing the third chapter.
Right.
And in the third chapter, um, the back of the book, it's on the back of the book, so I'm not giving too much away.
Mm-hmm.
The big time mafia or big time criminal organizations of the country, including the mafia, are all coming together to take over basically the entire American underworld.
Right.
And Johnny Carlo is kind of like one of the tools that they're using. So here I am on chapter 3, and I'm thinking, okay, I just made this massive, you know,
Right.
and this is going to be the bad shadow group, the antagonist faction, and I just made them like the Illuminati. So
Right. Right.
what am I going to do? And I think that's why it took me 15 months to write it, because it has to end. Because I didn't want to make it into a series. It has to end in a way that everybody's satisfied, and it all just comes together well.
Right.
How am I going to do that? And it was very tough. It was tougher than Ice Rising because it's just, it's new skills. It's new. It's
Right.
more ambitious
Right.
of a read and a write. And the book itself, I have a copy here, is 525 pages.
Wow. That's
So
awesome. Wow. That is awesome. 525 page book you wrote in 15 months. Ooh,
Yes.
that I like it. I like it. I like it. That's encouraging. You know what I'm saying? It could be done. And then how long after you wrote that book did you start? I know you already had the ideal in your mind, so you were already making plans. So how long did you start before you started the next book?
I give myself a week's break. When I finished the manuscript for a book, like, oh, okay, so I finished the manuscript for Ice Rain a couple
Right.
weeks ago. So
Okay.
I gave myself a week's break of no writing, nothing. Um, well, marketing and stuff. Of course, I'm going to do that. But writing wise, I just gave myself that week break,
Right.
and now I'm in the editing stage of Ice Rain.
Right.
But I do have, just like I said before,
You already
I
got
do
an
have the
idea for the next
idea
book.
for the next book in my mind. So
Right.
I'm pretty much ready to start that whenever. But I want to get the edits done first because I do one project at a time.
Understood. Understood. So do you think like in the long run this will be something that you're going to retire from? Like this is going to be like an ongoing thing, or are you waiting to hit a certain level like best-selling author for 3 years in a row or something like that, or like what is your goal? What is your end goal?
So I believe whenever people find their talent,
Hmm.
it's up to you how you want to cultivate it.
Right.
For me, it just became my mission, really. Um, and I really approached it from a business perspective. And
Hmm.
everybody's welcome. Any writers in the writing world, everybody writes for different reasons. Some
Right.
people write simply for an outlet. Some people write to spread that message. Some
Right.
people write to, um, just to entertain some friends and family. I write because I treat it like a business. I respect it as one. And I want it to be something where I want to work hard at it so that when my kids get older, they can see that and they can say, okay, like you can work on, like you don't have to settle. You can become, you can become that thing. And I like my job. I do.
Right.
You'll never hear me badmouth it. But me personally, when I found writing for myself, that's what I wanted to do. That
Right.
that is something that I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I every single day, and I will be writing. I have a buddy of mine I work with. He does real estate on the side, sells houses, and we
Right.
were talking one time because we're both in the grind mindset. And he says, "Yeah, I'm going to get up on the weekend and I'm going to look at these houses and stuff and try to sell them." I sat there and said, you and I have to love what we're doing because I would not get up on my days off to go look at houses and sell to other people, but I will get up on my days off at 3:34, 4:30 in the morning and knock this writing out every day.
True. True. That is true. I'm like that too. So I love my job. I have an 8 to 5 or 8 to 4:30. But I love my job. I love what I do. I love working with the people that I work with. But then being a coach is my passion. Doing
Right,
sound meditation, that's like my passion. So I'll get up and I'll study that, or I'll stay up all night, studying what I need to study to be the best I can be for other people. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Because I'm putting my energy out there. And of course, the podcast was the very first before any of that stuff happened. So this is really like this is my baby. You know what I'm
right,
saying? The podcast is
right.
my so it doesn't matter what happened. It's like I'm gonna podcast. Like I took a little break for my birthday, but I was like, oh, I just miss it. I need to get on. I need to do a podcast. So I can dig it. I can dig it.
You were feeling
So
restless.
yeah, I was like, I need to do a podcast. Like, I need to get on there and say something. But I was trying to give myself like a little break. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get burnt out from doing so many things and being so many people at one time. So just give
Right.
myself a break. Um, so where are your books? Are your books like on Amazon? Like, if someone wanted to go and get a book, where would they go to get a book?
So all my books are available on Amazon. They are
Okay.
all available on Kindle, Kindle Unlimited, and paperback. And Ballad of Johnny Carlo also has a hardcover version to it.
Right.
But people who want to actually buy a signed copy from myself are more than welcome to go on to my website, jamesmichaelsbooks.com. And my personal email is on there if anybody would like to message me and say, hey, I would like a signed copy.
Right.
I would be more than happy to send them one.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we get that out there. We're going to do it again too. So don't worry. I want them to know where they can find the book. So, what is the other titles of the books that you have? Like we did the two titles. So I know you're doing the series. And when do you cut a series off? Like when do you say like that's enough?
I don't know. I know with okay, I know with Ice Rising, I'm sorry, with the Ice series, I know there's at least 4 books in me.
Okay.
With this series, I know there's 4. That's at least.
Okay.
There may be 20. By the time that this is over. And I've already finished it. Like I said, I finished the 3rd book. It's going to be a while before I write the next one because I always kind of take a break from the series and work on something else. So
Right.
okay, so geez, I have to get my coordination better.
Right.
Uh, Ice Rising, my first book, first in the series. I
Right.
finished that, and then I wrote Ballad of Johnny Carlo.
Okay.
Finished that, wrote Icebox, sequel to
Right.
Ice Rising, and then I
Right.
wrote Life's Dark Corners, my collection of short stories.
Okay.
Now I'm working on Ice Rain. I'm almost done, and I'm actually my next book is going to be in the Johnny Carlo universe. It's going to be its own story, but it's going to, like I said, just be within that universe. There will be some characters that somebody who's been following it will recognize. In fact, I already expanded the universe with Lifestar Corners.
Right.
I gotta stop doing that.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah,
Like when you're on the screen, it's like you got to remember what side everything is on. So
right.
you have the collection of short stories, right? So are these collection of short stories? Is this crime and thriller too, or is this
Yes.
something different? Okay, so it's just like characters like going through different things, or different thrillers or crimes are happening through that without telling
Yeah.
me in the okay. That's cool. I think that's cool. I don't know, like I could watch a crime or a thriller, but I don't think I could write one because I probably would be like, "Well, what am I supposed to put next? Like what happens after that?" And then, like my mind probably wouldn't even run that fast to do it. Now, if it's something maybe like a drama, I probably could do that. I probably could do a drama.
You know, being a pantser, I'm actually like the first reader of these books. So, there's even hard times where um you're writing these characters and you in a way you bond with them because they're all different people that you've created.
Right,
And sometimes just me, my own characters have shocked me before. There's one character in the Ice series where I was gonna write him off,
right,
and like okay, here's how he's gonna end up, and that's it. But it's gone a whole different route, and now
right,
he's changed and he's become a more dynamic and prominent character. Um, and then there's other characters where I flipped them, and like maybe they were loyal and now they're a traitor and stuff like that. Like things that even really surprised me with the route that the story went.
right,
And so even I'm shocked and amazed.
right,
In
right.
a way that helps me with writing crime thrillers because I'm going to be the first one to get shocked. So if it shocked me, if it made me feel some type of way writing it, somebody's going to feel some type of way reading it.
Exactly. Exactly. What and that brings me to the next question. What was your favorite review about your book? Like what was one of your favorite reviews? Like who did it come from?
Um, my wife, she when she finished the Ballad of Johnny Carlo, I think I was at work, or she was just I think she was on an errand or something, or something like that. I don't know, but she texted it to me. And I said, she said I finished the book, and I said, "What did you think?" Now, my wife is not a book reader. She's it's just not her thing. And
Right.
she said it's brilliant.
Oh.
And I was
Oh.
just like, huh, And I know that she's my wife, and
Right.
in the eyes of our spouses, we can do no wrong, which isn't true. But
Right.
but she is again. I know everybody's gonna be like, sure, but she is very honest with her opinions on stuff. She will talk real to somebody. So I think that one was my favorite. Just kind of say it's brilliant. I was like, wow,
You felt
that's
good.
really feels good. Like for somebody. And
You're like a
okay.
champion.
And second favorite review.
Okay.
Somebody wrote, and it was for Ballad Johnny Carlo. Hey, I did it right this time. It was Ballad Johnny Carlo. This guy who I work with, he's not, and I don't think he was much of a book reader either. And he just found out about me. He's like, oh yeah, well he's a cool guy. I'll buy his book, sure. And he read Ballad Johnny Carlo. I think he was like halfway through.
Right.
And I said, hey man, how's it coming along? He's like, I'm obsessed with this book right now.
See.
That's great. That's another great word.
Right, right. Brilliance and obsessed. You got to highlight those. That's awesome. That is awesome because that means you're doing what the book is supposed to do. So when I first got the message from you about coming on the podcast, I was like, okay, cool. So I was looking up crime and thriller, and then I was trying to read a little bit about like what you have going on, and and just kind of looking at excerpts and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I love Lifetime. I'm starting to love like crime and like what do you call it? Like crime movies or like First 48 and stuff like that. That's my thing to watch. And so I was like, oh, okay. I said I gotta get a book because this would be awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like this
Mhm.
looks like something. Like everything would seem like even just reading little pieces of it, it's like, oh, this is good. This is good because sometimes you can find a book like a crime and thriller book, and it could be like, this ain't crime and thriller. This is more of a drama. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's happening
Right.
for real, but I like that. I like that. Is there anything else you want to highlight about your career in being an author, or anything you want to share with anybody that maybe we didn't get to, like we didn't get the ground to the questions?
Um, you know, a few things I've learned is that, you know, nothing's ever like this. I learned I was definitely a great storyteller through this, and I'm becoming a better writer every day. Learning new things, and being a writer. You read other stuff, and it helps you to kind of hone your own craft. Like you read, okay, so like you'll read somebody's book, and not the story, but like the way that it's told, the way that they write. There's something you like about it,
Right.
and you'll kind of compare and contrast. Like, okay, this person, they just named off these three main characters, but I have no idea what they look like.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm, mhm.
is that something that I'm doing with my books? Or I like how this guy really makes dialogue and keeps it engaging. Is there something I need to do to make my writing more engaging that way? So
Right.
and that's the good thing about the writing community is that we all learn from each other. It's very self it's really supportive, very upbuilding. Of course, there's people in there that are a little toxic, but at least for me, for the most part, it's fun. It's great talking to people, and it's very encouraging because I've learned that just you doing what you're doing for yourself inspires others to do for themselves.
True.
Since I've been writing, two of my coworkers have come to me and started writing their own books. Now, I don't know if that's because of me, but I know that they didn't
So
say that to me.
congratulations.
They didn't say that to me until after I had published at least my first book. I think when I published two books is when they started coming to me and saying, "Hey, I'm actually writing a book right now." And then they talk to me, and I can really see it in them that this is something they're very serious about. Maybe not, like become a full time writer, goal as myself. I don't know,
Right.
but they're very excited about it, and I like to see that.
Right. Right. That's well, like all the time, it's like sometimes people plant a seed in other people, and then somebody else might come along and they might give them some other kind of inspiration. But I think as a people, like a whole, we inspire little things in people to do something or be something or act some sort of way. You know what I'm saying? I think that we do that. Just the fact that you wrote two books, it's like, hey, I want to do that and I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I really can do that. So I believe you had something to do with that. Definitely. Definitely.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. Especially you get words like brilliance and obsessed. I need somebody to I need
I
someone to
want if somebody writes a book about me, I want that to be the title.
right.
Brilliant and obsessed.
Right. right.
Because because there is an obsession to it. For me, it's gone beyond. I've somebody said, if you don't love it, don't do it. And me, it's just beyond. It's like beyond. It's like I'm obsessed with it. I mean, I could, like, I really said, like, I could write every single day. I could work on this business, this, being a writer, being an author, every single day, and I do. It's hard. It's hard to just relax. It's hard to take a day off, which it's a discipline.
Right.
Really kind of carving out that time for yourself.
True.
you know, um, um, when my family was away on vacation and I still had to work on one of my days off, I did say, okay, I'm gonna take some time for myself. I'm going to go to this museum that I like,
Right.
but I wore my "Ask Me About My Books" shirt that my wife bought me,
Of
which also
course.
has my name and all these published books on the back of it.
Of
And I
course.
brought a bunch of business cards with me. So I'm walking around the museum, and some people are saying, "Hey, well, tell me about your books." Well, sure, since you're so curious. And I messaged her because I went to a burger joint after that, and I gave out some more cards. I texted my wife and said, "Hey, I just gave out like 5 business cards, 2 here and 3 there." She's like, "Do you ever just rest?" I was like, I can't. It's
No,
hard.
no, I'm telling you, I'm with you. It's an obsession. Like I tell people, success is an obsession. Like no matter what you try to do, no matter like it's you want more and more and more and more, and it's not even about not loving it or being greedy. It's about the fact that you really love what you do, and it excites you. It's exciting. You know what I'm saying? And so you want to just keep doing it. I'm the same way. Like I'm supposed to be vacationing, and then like I'm handing out cards. I'm telling people about this. I'm telling them where they can get this from and how this can happen. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's just what we do. It's what you do. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good feeling though because you're supposed to love what you do, and if you love what you do, you can do it every single day.
Right.
No problem. But if you don't love what you do, then you're like, I gotta go to the job again. This is crazy. So I understand. I completely understand. Well, is there anything else you would like to share before you share your handles again? Because I want people to be able to follow you on your social media and all of that.
um, for those of you that are aspiring to be writers, um, you may be a late bloomer like myself, and the most simplest way, and honestly, anybody that's looking to kind of go down this road to whatever definition of success fits them best, the first step is hard, but it's actually a very simple step when you think about it. For me, the first step was chapter one. Put it on paper. Go on that Word document and start putting it down. Chapter one. Uh, and for other people, it could be something else, a character list, an outline, um, maybe going to somebody you really trust and saying, hey, I'm thinking about, you know, writing a book. Here's the premise. What do you think?
Right.
Somebody that's not going to, whatever, laugh at you or anything like that.
Right.
Um, it's usually a very simple step. It's not, you know, it's not just write the whole book and contact New York Times and get your book featured and all that. It's
Right.
just put a sentence down online. And then another piece of advice, because I've had people come to me with this about not finishing stuff because they don't like what they're writing and they throw it away. Um, Write the story and just understand that. Tell yourself that how you feel about it. Probably like you don't have to like it as you're writing it, but just finish it because
Right.
you may be pleasantly surprised at the outcome.
I
It's
think.
hard. It's hard. There's been a million times where I've wanted to just go, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing right now? Like, I could be doing something else. Like, what? Why am I writing this?
Right.
Just finish it.
Right.
Finish it. Because I know what it is not to finish. Because when I was a teenager, I did actually sit down one time and said, let me write a book. And I didn't finish it. So when
Right.
I sat down and started writing Ice Rising, I thought back to that. And I said, I didn't finish.
Right.
This time, I'm going to finish. And I'm
Right.
going to tell people that I'm writing a book. Because then you become one of two people. You're either going to become the person that tells everybody you're going to do something and you don't do it and you're just talking crap,
Right.
or you're going to follow through with it and you're going to make it happen.
Right.
You hold yourself accountable that way.
True. Truth. I like it. I like it. So generally on the Zip Mouth Motivation podcast, I always ask people to the leave the people with something positive. So you left them something with about writing, but what's something positive that helps you get through life? You know what I'm saying? That helps you continue to, reach for success.
I say you're definitely on the right track if you see where you were at this point exactly 1 year ago. And if you're not doing bigger and better, then, or if you've seen, let's make it a little more positive sounding. Uh, if you see that you're working harder and you've learned a lot more and you have more victories under your belt than you did last year,
Mm-hmm.
then you are going down the right track. Maybe, you're starting your business and you don't have that Lamborghini yet, but but maybe you did make a profit 3 months in a row that you weren't doing last year,
True.
or maybe you're you're learning something new and you're doing something new that you weren't doing last year. Like maybe you weren't doing events, or you weren't doing podcast interviews, or
Right.
you weren't doing this and now you are. That's a step in the right direction. You may not be at the finish line yet, but you are doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I love it. I love it. It's so crazy because I had that thought this morning when I woke up. And I don't know why I thought that, but I was like, I refuse. And I tell myself this often, but this morning it was like a real thing in my head. Like, I refuse to be where I was this year, next year. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, I refuse to do that. And I think when people talk to themselves like that, it makes it easier for you to accomplish the small goals, here and there. So if people want to follow you on social media or if they want to contact you, can you give that information out one more time for me?
My pleasure. So I'm on Facebook. You can follow me at James the Real Mike. It's kind of it's a play on my last name, Michels, because it's been mispronounced all my life. So it's kind of like Mike Michels.
Right.
Uh, so it's James the Real Mike. Twitter, my profile is James Real Mike. Instagram is James E Michaels. I'm also on TikTok You can guess at James Real Mike,
Okay.
and I'm also on YouTube. My YouTube channel is James Michaels Books, where I
Okay.
do plenty of shorts and plenty of actually like YouTube videos where I will do book reviews. I will do talks about being a writer. I will talk about my books. I will talk about other books.
Right.
Typically all within the crime genre because
Right.
I've made peace for myself. Like that's my identity. I'm a crime
Right.
writer,
That's your niche.
and
Okay.
maybe a fantasy one day, something maybe 20 years down the road. Um, and also, if anybody would like to sign up to my email subscription form, I have my website, jamesmichaelsbooks.com, where my books are on there. You can sign up for my email subscription form so you can get updated on any new books I have coming out, new book deals, events, content, things of that nature. And you can always reach out to me personally. So that's
Definitely.
everything.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you from coming on the show. We actually did the whole hour. It don't seem like it, but we did. We made it. We did
Sounds
good.
like me having fun.
Yeah, yeah. This is the easy breezy over here. So, but I appreciate you for coming on the show for even just taking that time out of your day. Um, thank everybody. Get back into the work mode because I wasn't in the work mode. I was in the birthday mode like 2 weeks before my birthday and then 2 weeks after my birthday, whole month. So now I got to get back into the groove of things. But I appreciate you. Everyone, just go and follow James Michaels. Get one of his books, read it. Crime thrillers, which is very exciting for the most of us, for both of us. And so I appreciate y'all. I love y'all as usual. I will see y'all again next Tuesday or during the week or something like that. But I love y'all. Stay on, James, though, when I click off, okay? So I just want you to stay on for a second.
You got
Um, again, this is, I always forget to say this, and they keep telling me to say this. Like, share, subscribe.
it.
Yeah, Zip Mouth Motivation Podcast. Y'all know how it go. I love y'all. Good night.